Prithvi, extremely happy to see you here in Dubai for your new movie. Welcome to Dubai, welcome to our show Zee Connect.
Thank you, it's great to be here once again.
And even more excited because the kind of show we saw yesterday for just the teaser was something phenomenal. A drone show which looked so pretty. The first of its kind maybe for a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I've been led to believe it's the first of its kind for any film anywhere in the world, and full credit to Fars Films actually. When I came here last time to discuss how we could launch Kaduva in the UAE, it was Fars Films that pitched the idea. That I mean, they did give me a couple of options, and of all the options, I thought this was the most unlikely to happen because it just seemed, impossible with the rules and regulations in place in Dubai about drones and how you get permissions to fly drones. To be flying 250 drones at the same time and to create this in the sky, one, the logistics of it seemed impossible. Two, I mean, technically, I didn't know how they would pull it off, but absolute full credit to the Dubai police for setting it up and for executing it with such precision. We were all in awe, last evening when we saw this. Even I hadn't seen the trial runs, so even for me, it was a first-time experience watching it with the rest of you all. And yeah, I mean, we are proud that it is a Malayalam film that did it. And I'm very happy that it is one of my films that did it. And what better, how much bigger could the launch of a film get? So yeah, super excited.
Absolutely. But before we get into Kaduva and what it's all about, there is kind of a trend nowadays for action movies, and this one is an out-and-out action film. And like even with Pushpa, KGF, people are really loving these kind of movies.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is that where the trend is moving now? They want larger-than-life movies and action movies?
See, trends are always what they are. Trends, they're temporary. Ultimately, what will sustain is cinema that will engage with the audience, regardless of what type of film it is, what genre it belongs to. When you watch a film, you have to have a connect with it at some point, regardless of what the story is and how it's narrated. So trends, like I said, will always be that, trends. But having said that, what we miss in Malayalam cinema of late is exactly that. These larger-than-life action entertainers. Malayalam cinema is in fact going through a great phase content-wise. We are making some really interesting cinema. We are being spoken about at the national stage and internationally quite consistently now. And yeah, we have wonderful films being made in our industry. But if there is one genre that we seem to have left out, somewhere we seem to have forgotten to include in this glorious repertoire that we have currently, I think it is this, the action entertainers. And Kaduva is that. It is very much that, and it is only that. And what I'm so happy about is that there is this recurring narrative among film lovers in Kerala now that, like you said, if you want to watch an action entertainer, a massy, commercial, mainstream film, you will have to see another language film because they don't happen in Malayalam anymore. So I hope that this puts a full stop to that narrative, and this becomes the awakening of a genre that's been more or less dormant of late in Malayalam.
Wonderful. So tell us more about Kaduva. We love the poster. We love you on the poster.
Thank you.
What is Kaduva all about? What's your character like?
So Kaduva is a story set in the early 90s in a plantation belt of Kerala called Pala, Kanjarapalli, And my character is that he's a young planter and he's one of those guys who's very successful at a very young age with his business enterprise, very attached to his family and very much a hero to the local town folk. There are these legends about him, about how cool he is, driving his Mercedes and stepping out with his dhoti and the white kurta and his signature tiger ring and all that. So it's very much that larger-than-life mass hero aura that the character has. But the antagonist, the so-called antagonist played by Vivek, also is very similar. He's also a very successful police officer, is in the highest echelons of the state police at a very young age, is from the same township. They know each other from childhood, both the families know each other. He's also very attached to his family, somebody whose entire townfolk is very proud of what he's achieved. The story is pretty much a tussle between these two people. What starts off as a very small ego tussle, then snowballs into something so big that at one point everything from the state machinery to the state police to the state government, everything gets involved. And these are just two men who refuse to give in or give up. And that is the cornerstone of the plot. That is where the plot finds its foundation. But from there on, like I said, you know, it goes through so many unpredictable twists in how the plot progresses that I seriously believe for all the action and drama and larger-than-life mass moments a film has, deep down the story really holds you, you know, and that is why you are able to connect with both the characters. So yeah, that's what the film is about, and this narrated, like I said, in a very massy, action-oriented way is what the film is about.
Right. How was the experience of working once again with Shaji Kailas after your previous film?
Yeah, it's been a long time actually. In fact, the legendary director that he is, it is still a comeback of sorts for him, because I believe it's almost after 8-9 years that a film of his is releasing in Malayalam. I've always been a fan. He's somebody who's inspired me as a filmmaker, and I believe you know, he's one of those filmmakers who at one point single-handedly brought in a change to the way mainstream cinema is made in Malayalam. And when I first heard the script, you know, there's a story, like I said, that happens in the early 90s. With all that design and aesthetics of the 90s swag, most of the films that came to my mind were films done by him. So which is the reason I first called him and said, you know, I think this would be wonderful if you would direct it. He heard the script and he decided that this is a film that he wants to do as a comeback into Malayalam industry. And I'm glad I took that call, because today it is very much a Shaji Kailas film. Film lovers across Kerala and across the world, when they go to see a Shaji Kailas film, there are a few things you hope you'd see.
Yeah.
You'll see all that in this film.
You look forward to that. Tell me, Prithvi, you yourself produce films, you direct films, you act in films. When you're doing this on one particular film, how do you juggle between these roles?
So the thing is, like I always say, I understand that for someone looking at it from the outside, it'll look like parallel skill sets that are completely different from each other. But for me, the way I've always approached my films and the way I've always worked in cinema, you know, I've been part of all these processes regardless of what my title is. For example, you know, even in a film where I'm just involved in as an actor, I would still be part of the scripting process. I'll know how the script is, you know, evolving. I'll still be aware of the location tracking, how it's going about, how the project is shaping up. I'll be very much be part of the marketing and how the film is going to be released. So it's still always a team sport, you know. Sometimes you do it officially, sometimes you don't. The good thing is when you do it officially, when you're producing it under your own banner, when you're distributing it under your own banner, you sort of have the liberty of exercising more control over how the film will turn out. You know? And I enjoy that control, in the sense you can make sure that the film you're doing is made the way it should be made. You know, you sort of end up having more control over the outcome. Never 100%.
True.
Cinema has never got 100% control. But you end up being able to exercise more power over how the film will turn out in the end, which is something I enjoy. So yeah, to me it's never, you know, work, because this is something I absolutely love doing. Cinema, like my wife keeps telling me, is my first love. So yeah, it never occurs to me that I'm doing too much work per se. Yeah.
Nice. Well, give us, maybe to your audience, just tell them why they should watch this film.
So at the outset of, you know, it is very much an entertaining mass masala action film, which is a refreshing change for me. I have not done something like that in a long time, and I believe it's a change for Malayalam cinema too, because of late we have been making these very realistic, cerebral, socially relevant cinema, and like I said, we have been missing this. At least I know I have missed this. So for more than anything, I think you'll enjoy watching the film, because it's been a long time since somebody did this large canvas commercial cinema in Malayalam. But it's also a very, very interesting story. It's a very engrossing narrative, and to watch some beautifully staged action sequences, some mass cinematic moments, and some great performances, and, you know, two powerful characters going head to head against each other. For all those reasons, I think do watch Kaduva with your families in the big screen when it releases.
In fact, I think we should add another reason to it. The movie has actually fought against all odds, all the challenges that it came across. There was COVID, there was a legal issue. you know, a landslide, too many things, right?
Yes.
How did you still keep that energy to go on with it?
Yeah, we started with the film in 2020. And, you know, like you said, we've had stoppages because of COVID, because of rains, floods, landslides. We had a litigation issue. But I guess in the end, finally, when it is releasing in 2022, I think it's probably the best time that the film could have released. One, it's now, you know, again a vacation time coming up. And two, like I said, this whole narrative of, oh, we want to watch something like this is very vociferous, at least in Kerala right now. So yeah, let's hope it's all for the best.
We wish you all the very best. Well, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Hello, you guys. Welcome. Samyuktha, and should I call you Bobby or Vivek?
For the Malayalam fans, Bobby, and generally Vivek, I guess.
Okay. Welcome to Dubai and welcome
Thank
to
you.
ZEE CONNECT. We're so excited. Vivek Atha Suganathu?
Oh. Sugamala.
Sugamalla?
Yeah.
Allah?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not. Why?
Sugamala. I haven't slept. Don't worry.
happened to my
I like how much you worry about me. Thank you.
You're not saying it right. Say it right.
She's my Google Translate, no? She speaks about 17, 18 languages. Hindi is amazing.
Yeah, we will come to that. For now, we are just pulling your leg.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Right. So, well, we've seen the teaser, and in a very, very phenomenal way, you can say, yesterday in the drone show. I mean, teaser aisa hai to movie kaisi
बहुत
hogi,
ज़बरदस्त.
right? How the movie is going to be. Kaduva. Tell us all about it.
I think what I love about Kaduva is the fact that Malayalam cinema allows you to go even in a mass commercial, larger than life, low angle cinema. It allows you to still play with layered characters. It allows you to still play with the story. So maza is baat ka aata hai that when I play a character like this in Hindi, for example, it's pretty binary. It's pretty, yaar, black hai, ya white hai, ye hero hai, ye villain hai. And I always try to, whatever character I play, whether it's a protagonist or an antagonist, I like to layer it. OTT may we have great options, like when I did Inside Edge, you know, playing that character with so many layers of darkness and then making you fall in love with him, or playing Bobby in Malayalam, which is interesting because there were so many, I got so many female fans. I personally thought Bobby's a creep, but there were so many female fans who just loved Bobby and thought he was charming and sexy and hot. And that's very, very interesting. And I think that comes from the fact that the Malayalam audience is a lot more attuned, a lot more open-minded and intellectual to receive characters like that. So there was a lot of fun. Joseph, on the other hand, is the absolute opposite of Bobby. Bobby was a charming devil. Bobby was somebody who would be, you know, smooth, suave, sweet-tongued. He'll con you, he'll convince you, he'll defraud you, he'll be unfaithful to his wife. He'll do everything that a guy can do and still get away with it, right? Whereas Joseph's the opposite. He's actually a typical Palayachan. He's a good Christian. He's in church every Sunday, loves his wife, dedicated to his family, is that son that makes his mother proud, is all about family honor and name. He's a great police officer. At a very young age, he's at almost the top level. That nothing can stop him from being the top cop in the state, probably the youngest top cop in the state. So he's all of these amazing things. And then
What gives the negative shade to his character?
So that's an interesting question. That's exactly what I was coming to, Priya, is that when you have the best computer in the world, all it needs is one virus to corrupt the hard disk. And I think Joseph's virus is arrogance, ego, male ego. And that male ego, that tussle with Prithvi's character, which is Kaduva, is the downfall. You know what mad is, right? Mutually assured destruction. So it's like two guys going mad, destroying each other.
In fact, with a person that you know since childhood.
Correct, yes. They grew up in the same area, they've known each other's families. One stupid, silly incident, which could have just been brushed away and said, listen man, forget it, let's have a drink, let's forget about it, let's move on. But it becomes a game of one-upmanship, and that's what destroys their worlds. And like, you know, at the end of the day, no matter who wins the war, nobody ever wins. It's always a net loss game, you know, because something or the other you get damaged in a war.
Right. So that's about Vivek's character, and we already know about Prithvi's. Let's come to you, Samyuktha. What is your character in the movie Kaduva?
Okay. So Prithvi plays a character called Kaduva Kunnil Kuruvachan. I play. Can you repeat Kaduva Kunnil Kuruvachan?
Kaduva Kurunil Kuruvachan.
Kaduva Kunnil.
Kaduva Kunnil.
Kaduva Kunnil.
Kaduva Kunnil.
It's your interview. Kaduva Kunnil Kuruvachan.
Kaduva Kunnil Kuruvachan.
Yeah.
Kaduva Kunnil Kuruvachan.
But it's like a kunnil. It's like a
Kaduva Kunnil Kuruvachan.
not kudu. Kuruvachan.
Kuruvachan.
Let's do this. I'm sorry. So you have to say that 10 times.
After the interview.
No.
What is this punishment? Wait, just because I told her I'm going to be pulling your leg.
You're not realizing that I'm trying to brand the character.
Fantastic. Just playing a smart game.
See, nobody is going to forget.
It's the most difficult language. I've done films in 7 languages. It's the most difficult.
Still the most difficult
It's
for
the
you?
most difficult. After the fact that it's my second film, after the fact that I have fantastic, beautiful, inspirational translators who are helping me. Between her, between Priyanka who plays opposite me, between Seema Auntie, between the writer Gino Abraham, Prithviraj, everybody. I used to always be like that kid in the classroom, you know, who's missed 5 days of, if you miss 5 days of class, when you come in every single class, how you go to all your friends and say,
lost.
what is the teacher talking about? It is exactly like that feeling.
Yeah. Was he like that?
Yeah, man, there's single words that have like 27 characters.
No, but I would like to say something. This one factor which I respect a lot about him is that never ever he did that thing of, okay, 1, 2, 3. You know, when you say that dialogue, he's not fluent in Malayalam, but he delivered all his lines in Malayalam.
Yes, what he would be doing, practicing, going back
Of
to his
course.
room and then always...
See, that's so
Sleep
inspiring.
also.
That's so inspiring because I think you've been in cinema for 20 years. So, see, he has seen everything, a lot of success and everything. So I feel so, you know, I felt a lot of respect when I saw him taking, you know, effort to learn the language and, you know, and do justice to it. And I think that's the moment when I realized, see, acting is not about money or the fame. It's about that, you know, the bliss we get when we perform a role. And I loved watching him do that.
Thank you so much. I don't know.
Because all the scenes that I have a combination with him is where Kuruvachan and Joseph Chandy is his character, is having a tiff or an argument or something. So it's not easy. If it's something, you know, very light dialogue, I think it's much easier. But you know, you have to maintain that tempo. You need to give that modulation, that too in an alien language. Wow.
Wow, I don't know what to say, man. Samyuktha is being nice to me.
So much, like so many nice words
I'm always
about
nice
me.
to him. I'm always nice to him. At least
you
maybe
very
not in front, but at least when I'm not, you know, when I'm in an interview doing one and I'm like, okay, you're the best.
Good, sweet words to talk about.
Yeah. So let me come back to my character.
To your character
Yeah.
against opposite
Sure.
to Kaduva Kunnil
Kaduva Kunnil Kuruvachan. Yeah, my character. Wow.
Super. Semme.
So my character's name is Elsa. So I play Kuruvachan's wife, and imagine, see, for me it was all about before the ego war and everything happened. We know it was a happy family, children and husband, and the story is set in the 90s. I play, you know, a Christian character from that times, and my husband is a, you know, very successful businessman. But when they enter into that, you know, when the conflict begins, when both the characters are in that, you know, fight, my character is all about how I deal with it. Because maybe, you know, I kept thinking about it, maybe Elsa would have never known something like this in her life. Because everything was so, you know, well in her life, and suddenly her husband enters into this, and she has to handle a lot of stuff, including the children, her emotions, and she has to remain bold and strong, and you know, so that's about it. That's about my character.
All right. Right. Well, we're really looking forward to this film, let me tell you. We were talking to Prithvi earlier, and you know, I was telling him that the movie has gone through a lot. There were a lot of challenges. There was COVID, and there were landslides, floods, rains,
and date issues,
legal issues. So much was going on. Anything that you want to share with us from the sets? Any funny incidents or any incidents that have left a mark on you? Any memories, Vivek?
Well, I think there's so many. I mean, there's crazy number of incidents, whether it was shooting in rubber plantations in the middle of landslides, and, you know, waking up one morning and saying, can't go to shoot today because it's just the road is washed out. You know, it's like that bad, because we're in the middle of, you know, when Kerala rains can be really, really intense sometimes. So a lot of things, but the positive that I want to take out of it is that we were all shooting our massive climax action sequence. It was 7 nights. You know, we had Kanal Kannan, the legendary action master, coming in and shooting this hugely planned thing where these 2 bulls are going at each other, picking and thrashing each other, you know, that kind of story. And the 3rd or 4th night, our ever-smiling producer, Liston Stephen, comes to me and he says, "Sir, pack up." And I was like, "What happened?" "It's just 3 a.m. We have another 3 hours to go at least." He's like, "No, sir, you go home. We'll call you tomorrow. We're done for today." He didn't tell me what's going on, what's happened, nothing. I went and I sat in. Next day I find out there was actually a riot on a set, because there were more than like 600-700 people, 800 people that had come for that climax sequence. It's like a big festival going on, and some of them got drunk, got tipsy, and started smashing some other guys, and then cops had to come, pick those guys up, you know, put them in behind bars and stuff like that. All of this has happened and these guys were just smiling. And that's what I loved about the indomitable spirit of the Malayalam cinema industry, that they have always shot against all odds. If it was us, we're a little spoiled like that. We're a little bratty up in the north. We turn around and say, how can this happen to us? This is wrong. And then it'll be in the news and media and everything the next day. Here, these guys just calmly handled it, and promptly next day we were back to shooting, same location, same thing. No problem, like nothing had ever happened. I loved that attitude. And the funny thing that happened was, somehow Prithviraj adjusted his dates. I was doing 3 projects at the time. I adjusted my dates. The only dates that we couldn't get were the dates of the buffaloes, because we had this action sequence in the buffaloes. We literally had to finish that action sequence of the buffaloes in time, because next morning the buffaloes had to leave.
Oh my God.
And they were huge, huh? Those buffaloes.
Buffaloes don't have dates, sorry.
You can have milk from the buffaloes, but no dates.
Oh my God, what are your takeaways from this?
For me, like, I was shooting 2 projects parallelly, back to back. No, I will not say back to back, I would say parallelly.
Together.
Because morning I'll shoot for another movie in Hyderabad, and then evening I'll take a flight, come shoot for Kaduva. And I kept doing that for, you know, and I was praying, you know, the airline should not cancel the flight. I was praying for the airline. And so, but, you know, what
She's the only person who was busier than the buffaloes.
So, yeah, so yesterday when that drone show happened, and then there was this, you know, the buses happening, there's so much of hype for the film and people are talking about the film. I'm like, see, thank God that you know, there was that one moment where I took that decision to say yes to the film. So I'm still, you know, so grateful for that moment where you know, when I said yes to the film, and
yeah. And this is what has come out of it, the outcome of it. It's looking lovely, and we're really looking forward to it. जाते जाते हमें आपसे कुछ हिंदी के शब्द सुनने हैं।
क्या चाहिए आपको?
कुछ तो बोल दीजिए, विवेक ने इतना कुछ बोला है।
क्या चाहिए आपको?
क्या चाहिए आपको?
हिंदी में एक कविता बोल दीजिए। Any poetry?
Yeah, I think. No, I know some, because of course I used to participate in Hindi recitation.
Now we put her in a spot.
Rock star. उसको अभी बोलेंगे अफ्रीकांस में बात करो तो वो भी बात कर लेगी वो।
Just tell Vivek, मुझे आप बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं।
No, I don't feel that. That's not coming from my heart. How can I say that?
मुझे आप बिल्कुल अच्छे नहीं लगते।
Just from your mouth.
मुझे आप अच्छे नहीं लगते।
No, I want to say something else.
Tell me, I'll translate it for you. What do you want to tell him?
Nothing.
Kuch nahi.
Nothing.
Ciao.
Maybe some satya.
Yeah, man.
Satya.
I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that too. I love that movie. I love the songs. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Priya.